In this session we're going to go over, for our Rousseau jungle painting, part 2 now, we're doing the middle ground trees, so all of the kind of trees in between. Alright, this is what we're going to do. Notice I've washed my brush out since our last session. Here's my dirty water. Dump my dirty water into the dirty water cup. Get a little clean water here for this session. Alright, and now I've got this dirty paper towel I've been using. I'm just going to flip it over so we have a nice clean area to work with. And now we're going to start doing some trees. We're going to kind of have to go back and forth, so I have saved this green palette here. If you need to, you can have one like that sitting on the side. I'm going to actually start a new palette here. At the same time, I'm going to have brown be my main color. Okay, and I'm going to have a little bit of blue to darken my brown. I'm going to have white to make a tint. I'm going to have black to make a little shade if I need to. And I'm also going to have some yellow to kind of change my brown a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to kind of go between yellow and blue and brown. But brown being my main color, I'm going to start with some of the branches and some of the tree parts. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to make a tint of brown. Okay, and this is going to be for my tree part. Okay, now part of this is when you're doing this, hopefully yours will be dry because you'll have kind of a session in between. But if you need to, you can set your pinky down like this on your paper. See how I got my pinky on the paper there? Okay, and I'm actually using that to kind of hold my weight. Another way that you can paint is, of course, you've got your palette on the side. You can set your hand here and put the ball of your wrist kind of like right in this hole here, and then rest your hand there, and you have much more control by just moving your fingers. So since I have to paint with the camera, I'm going to kind of hold my hand out to the side so you can see as I paint. I'm going to do my best to stay inside the lines. If I don't, we can always change it a little bit. And the line for your tree is right like that. Okay. Now the other parts of your painting have dried, so you're kind of painting over, and you're almost making a new line. Okay, now if you can still see the Sharpie line, try your best to stay inside the Sharpie line. If you can't see it, you can kind of make your own lines up. Do the best you can, keeping your lines of your trees nice and trying to follow the original idea of your trees. Okay, so there's kind of my tree part for my palm tree. Now I'm going to take this same color and I'm going to add it onto my next tree, but I'm going to add a little bit of blue into it just to kind of change a little bit, kind of make it a grayish, brownish color. I'm going to put that on this tree here. Okay, can we see that? Yeah, good. And edge it right up to that leaf. Okay, remember pulling your brush, doing the best you can to keep it nice and even, and filling in those lines the best you can, and being neat and tidy. Okay, now this is kind of hard in here. I know where my bird is, I know where my tree is, so I'm going to try to paint around it the best I can, but if I get into those leaves, that's okay. We're going to do those last. And if I get into my bird, that's alright. We're going to do that part last. So this part here is the trunk of my tree. Okay, and then I'm going to leave that because I'm going to do the background green part here in just a minute. And then I'm going to do this tree here. So let's start over here with this tree. Okay, and this one is going to be kind of hard because it's so thin, but do the best you can. If you end up making it a little wider, that's okay. Just cover over what you need to. And you can see how I just trail my brush right along the edge. And if you need to, you can use what we call a detail brush. A detail brush, only if you're working, only if you're working on a little teeny part like this, you can use a detail brush. It's got a very thin, small bristle to it. So if I were to use a detail brush, it would look the same. I would only use this for very small pieces. I would not use it to like fill in my whole sky or something. And you would use it just like you would use a regular brush and just fill in small branches like this. Okay, and the detail brush doesn't hold paint as well as one of the regular brushes, so you would have to kind of pick up more paint more often. Okay, and my green here is still just a little wet, so I want to use my finger as a brace and fill these trees in here. Okay, and I think I have one more branch like right here, and actually one more branch over on the other side. Okay, right here I've got a branch coming out this way, got a branch coming out that way. I tell you, this is some complicated painting we're doing, boys and girls. Now, I still have this one. That one's actually a little green. It's a banana tree. So I'm just going to set my brown palette aside for the moment. I'm going to bring back my green one, and I'm actually going to kind of use my green and my brown together. If you can kind of see my green palette and my brown palette here, I'm going to take just my green and I'm going to scoop out a little bit. And let's see, how about I set it over on this side. I'm going to add a little brown into it, so it's a greenish brown. And I'm going to paint in. There you go. You can see that being the color for my banana tree. It's kind of a greenish brown. Here's my old big brush. I'm going to go back to this because I want to go quicker. And like I said, it holds more paint, so it's easier to paint with. I'm actually going to grab a little more green because I want it to be a greener brown. Okay. Notice I'm painting right over that orange that's sitting there, and that's alright because we'll paint that orange in orange later. There's my green for my banana tree. Alright. And we're going to leave it at that for the moment just so I can break this up into more sessions. So that's the end of the part 2 of my jungle painting. Okay.